Sports Yak.
Oh, my heavens!
One host knows sports.
And who's right there?
The other doesn't know sports, but somehow they meet in the middle. Corey Mann.
Get your big butt out of here!
And Indiana Sports Broadcast Hall of Famer
This one will be relived
Chuck Freebie.
forever.
Do you like sports? 'Cause we like sports. Let's talk about sports. It's Sports Yak. Sports Yak. It's Sports Yak.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 21 of Disney Plus Reviews. I'm one of your co-hosts, Phil Souza, and I'm here virtually speaking over Zoom is what we're using to record this, with my co-host, my good friend, and the guy who's my silver angel. It's Jack Altermat. What's going on, Jack?
Well, I'm just here. As you can see on our background now, people online can't hear or can't see. But I'm here in lovely San Francisco, right in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. As I'm sure many people that have done Zoom meetings have probably been in front of this week. They probably, as a joke, probably put this background on and thought this would be funny. And you are not amused. But you're from this area, so I thought you would feel like you were back home.
Yeah, it does feel like a little bit of home. I never actually lived in San Francisco, but I lived outside of San Francisco for the first 18 years of my life. So yeah, well, I've seen that shot. I can tell you exactly where that picture was taken. So
about 100 times I've probably seen this shot to start out Full House as well, because it starts Anyway, doing pretty well. We're really weird times we're living in, folks. I don't have much else to say. I probably said that more than I've said anything this week. Just baffled by a lot of stuff. And someone started saying this to me the other day, that they really will hope things get back to normal soon. And I thought, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Even when things go back, even when we're able to go out to eat somewhere regularly, or even when we're able to go to the mall, which I don't do, but if you go shopping somewhere, that won't happen for a long time. Like, you won't feel the same way for a long time. So,
well, and you know what I was thinking about the other day is, like, when we do finally get back to normal life, how weird is it going to feel like to like just be around other people that aren't our family? I've been around my family every day, but like just, being around, you and other friends and stuff like that, just like hanging out, like, I mean, even hanging out at the park or hanging out at church it's going to be so weird to finally get back to that. So, well,
it just, I'm missing it. So big time.
I am too. And it's only been a couple weeks. Talk to us in another 3 or 4, but, we're, I think at least from where we're from, which is the middle of the country, Springfield, Missouri. We're really only in like, maybe week 2, week 3 here. Other people have been going even longer than that, but, it's, the one thing that has been good about all this, Jack, has been I have been tearing through TV shows, movies. Like, I mean, it's just been awesome for just like backlog, catching up on backlog stuff. So, we added
a Stars subscription. I got a decent deal on that the other day, just because there were several movies that they had on there, and Outlander is on there, and a bunch of other stuff that my wife that Amanda wanted to watch. So
cool.
Well, it's cool, but it's like, I wouldn't have done that had we not been essentially stuck at home the way we're stuck at home, everybody. So,
yeah, I think the way that people are spending money is just really, really different right now. Like, we're more likely to spend money on like apps. Like I bought a bunch of like puzzle packs for a game that Jordan likes to play. She's really into jigsaw puzzles right now, and so it was like $6.99 for this Disney puzzle pack of puzzles. And I was just like, last night I was just like, yeah, why not? I mean, we're not spending any money on restaurants right now, so like
it's weird. Yeah.
Like that's something I probably wouldn't have done a month ago. But this month is like, okay, yeah, we got the money for a puzzle pack. Go ahead and go to town. So
Well, and we eat out quite a bit. Like we just enjoy. I enjoy to eat out. It's not like I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, my wife can't cook, because she's actually a great cook. You know
your
that.
wife's a fantastic cook.
Yeah. And so she's enjoyed cooking, but I think she's to the point too now where she's like, it'd be great to go out to eat somewhere. But like, we just got to eat for fun of, hey, let's go try this place out and see what it's like. And now it's like, that's not a thing, but obviously we're not spending that money now. So it's kind of weird. So.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a case to be made that people should be saving money and not spending a lot right now anyways. But, Disney Plus and whatever other service, Netflix, whatever services you pay for, it's like, that's not very much money, and it's providing just a ton of entertainment right now. They're like Netflix, like a Netflix subscription or a Disney Plus subscription has never been more valuable to anyone right now, because literally that's all there is to do. It's just, watch these shows. Obviously, we're going outside a lot and playing. Jordan has my 3-year-old has a playground in our backyard. We've been playing on that more than we ever would during a normal week. So yeah, I mean, everything is just ramped up. Like we're just doing everything twice as much as we usually are. But I mean, Disney Plus is one of those. Like we've been watching a lot more Disney Plus over the last couple weeks than we normally would. So interesting times.
Weird stuff. So.
We'll get in towards the end of the episode. We'll get into what we've been watching on Disney Plus, which I'm sure is a pretty good list right now. But let's go ahead and jump in. I want to actually start out with some. First of all, if you're just joining us for this podcast, we are an unofficial Disney Plus podcast reviewing the most popular stuff on Disney Plus. We typically have been doing a lot of Star Wars stuff. Like we reviewed every episode of The Mandalorian. You can go back and listen to those first episodes from the very beginning of the podcast. We jumped into Mandalorian. We've reviewed some, I guess, mostly sci-fi movies, and then some other little outliers like High School the musical series, and Stargirl. Last week was our episode, but we've been talking a lot of Clone Wars too. So we are reviewing episodes 5 and 6 of the current season 7 of Clone Wars, and we're going to get into some Ahsoka Tano talk. But before we get into our review for the day for this episode, a couple bit of news I thought would be kind of fun to talk about. One is that Ahsoka Tano is actually in live action. She's actually coming to season 2 of The Mandalorian. That's confirmed, and is also confirmed who's playing her, which is Rosario Dawson, who I've seen on a couple other things. It's been a while since I've seen her, but she's obviously a mainstay actress, has been around for a long time. Jack, your thoughts on live action Ahsoka Tano? This has never happened before. This is history in the making.
Very exciting, because I think Rosario Dawson is actually maybe the perfect person to play her. Rosario has I don't want to, like, not sci-fi but action. Well, I guess maybe it is a little bit sci-fi, but action background in the Daredevil, the Marvel Netflix universe stuff. She was in Daredevil. She's actually in all 4 of those shows: Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. She's Night Nurse in those shows.
I keep forgetting that, yeah.
And she's phenomenal. Like I started going back and watch. I've watched 3 episodes of Daredevil season 1 over this break, which is obviously not Disney stuff, but it is Netflix, which maybe it is Disney because it's owned. Yeah, I guess it would be owned by. It's so weird. Anyway,
yeah.
Man, it's phenomenal. If you guys have never watched Daredevil on Netflix, yikes, so good. Like,
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, so good. So anyway, but she was on there, so I've always thought she was pretty good, and she's pretty good in that. And that's a good addition. That's a good pickup for sure. So,
yeah, I'm just kind of looking at her recent history. I really haven't seen her in very much. She's done some voice work, which is kind of ironic, considering the fact that she's not doing a voice only performance of Ahsoka. That's what oh man, I'm blanking on her name. The girl that plays Ahsoka Tano, like she's done Ahsoka Tano in a voice only capacity for so long. But this time she's actually doing in person. But she's been in like Lego Batman movie, Justice League Dark, Ratchet and Clank, Death of Superman. She's done like this voice work stuff quite a bit over the last 4 or 5 years. But yeah, she's actually in person live action doing Ahsoka Tano. So I'm super excited. I'm just saying this just for information only, just so I'm not trying to like, talk about her age or whatever, but I think it's interesting to know that she is a 40-year-old. So we are seeing an older version of Ahsoka Tano. So
right. Here's the thing about her is like she is part of that Hollywood thing where she is 40.
Yeah.
She does not look 40, and then you and I are 40.
Yeah, we look 40.
You and I are 40. We look 40. She does not look 40. So
yeah, she
could play a 20-year-old, and everybody be like, "Yep, she's 20."
She's very beautiful, obviously. And she is. I just say that to say that this is not the Ahsoka Tano that we're used to. This is. I mean, she's not at this time period. Ahsoka Tano is not 40. I'm sure they're going to put she has to wear a ton of makeup just because that's what Ahsoka's race looks like. But
right.
She's not going to look 40 in these episodes. But Ahsoka Tano at this point is probably, so this is post Last Jedi, so many years have passed since the Clone Wars, but not that many years. Like I feel like in the Clone Wars that we're watching right now, she's maybe around. You get the impression she's maybe about 20.
Probably. I don't know.
Maybe younger.
Maybe younger, just because they play her off in such a naive way that she doesn't even know about the outside world. So.
Yeah. I don't know how many years are between episode 3 and episode 6. I'm looking at it now. 19 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Or not 19 years. Yeah, 19 years between episode 3 and 4. So maybe about 20 years to Return of the Jedi, and then of course this is after Return of the Jedi. So I guess that does make sense. She is probably about.
Yeah, it could mathematically make sense.
That character is about 40 years old. So interesting. So yeah, very different spin on Ahsoka. She'll be a more mature, obviously a very experienced Jedi at this point, whereas in the Clone Wars she's still kind of Padawan level for almost all of it. And so it'll be very interesting to see Jedi Master Ahsoka Tano really. At that point she could even have a Padawan of her own. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do with that character. So very, very excited to see her in live action. I cannot wait to see so you and I, a couple of months ago, coming off of Mandalorian season 1, were like one of our biggest things as far as what we wanted to see in season 2 was we would love to see an actual Jedi, someone who has Jedi powers. And not only did we get a Jedi, I thought we would get maybe some previously unnamed Jedi, just some nobody that we've never heard of.
Right.
And so for us to not only get a Jedi in season 2, which is awesome, but B, a named Jedi, like someone that we know a lot about, Ahsoka Tano. I'm through the moon when I heard that.
And someone who hasn't really been visited, hasn't really got to visit in that realm. I feel like it will be a really positive thing, and I hope that it works out the way we're all hoping it works out. So. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what her relation is to the child. She's almost certainly going to be exploring the Jedi side of the child's persona. And I guess the child is too young to be trained. He obviously is very force sensitive, but we're not quite sure how much he's understanding. He can't really speak. So I doubt she's training him like as a Padawan, but probably more just kind of exploring what his abilities are and maybe trying to understand where they came from, maybe more about his race and are there more like him. So yeah, I would love to see her bring some Jedi-ness to the Mandalorian, which we kind of got just some very brief snippets, mostly through the child. So it'll be cool to actually have like a, fully voiced, fully talking Jedi character in that show and bringing life to that. So very excited. And then non-Star Wars news for a second, then we'll get back into Clone Wars. But Onward, which we just watched, finally, our family just watched Onward this last week. It is coming to Disney Plus. As we record this podcast, Onward came out in theaters 4 weeks ago. Like if this was a normal world that we all lived in, which that world is gone at the moment, that movie would still be in theaters. It would still be raking in a ton of cash every weekend. Not as much as week one, but still a lot of. It's only 4 weeks out, so it would still be making a lot of money. That movie would probably still continue to be in theaters for at least another month, and then we wouldn't see it on Disney Plus for another 5 months after that. There's about 7 months from release is kind of what we're supposed to expect. So we wouldn't see that movie until October. It is coming out next week to Disney Plus, 5 weeks after its initial theater release instead of 7 months. Jack, you said earlier these are crazy times that we live in. Will this sell subscriptions? Do you think? Onward.
I think that it'll get people to sign up for a free subscription and a week trial. Yeah. I don't know that Onward itself does that. Now, when you compare it to video on demand stuff right now, video on demand is still, video on demand is still like $19. Like if you were going to rent this movie for $19, that's what you do. But if you put it on Disney Plus, then obviously it's $6.99. For the 1 month of it even. So yeah, I guess maybe in that idea it does. Box office wise, it had enough of a run. It made, just off of what Wikipedia is saying, $104 million at the box office, which its budget was upwards of $200 million. So at least it has that. And if you're the studio, you feel at least like, well, in a crappy time, at least it made some money. And now we hope that people will, buy our subscription or video on demand it or whatever they do. But, what a weird movie, because and did you like it? I had not seen it.
Yeah, I really liked it. It's very good.
Tom Holland is, he's Spider-Man. He's in it. And Chris Pratt and Elaine Bennis. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in it as well. So,
the voice acting in the movie is phenomenal. Yeah.
So, I feel like there's some real benefits there. And some people there that you might want to see in that, especially Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. Not that I don't love Elaine Bennis, but I'm not really buying a movie for Elaine Bennis or Julie Louis-Dreyfus or V or whatever you know her from. But
yeah, she's not in the movie very much. I would say she has a collective maybe 7 or 8 minutes of screen time.
So Chris Pratt and Tom Holland are selling the movie, which honestly, you get those guys together, I kind of like it. But
dude, and they're absolutely great. I think obviously the main character, if you've seen the trailers, the main character is
I kind of get the gist of it. Yeah,
but Chris Pratt is for me steals the show. He's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, he's great.
It is. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that hasn't seen it, but it's Pixar. Everyone's gonna love this movie. But if you are into especially role playing, like Dungeons and Dragons, or even like role playing games, like The Witcher, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
This movie will absolutely scratch every itch. Like it is right up that alley. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and even just video games in general, I think it kind of plays to that audience a little bit. And so it's full fantasy, but in a modern world. And it is a really great story. I can't wait for people to see it on Disney Plus. It's going to be here by the time at this time of this recording, it's coming out in 5 days. So it'll be there before you know it, and people will be watching it. So it's up to you. We maybe could even do a review.
No, let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's plan on talking about Onward next week. Because you know why? You know why, Phil? Because what else are we doing anyway? It's a good time.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. So let me just make sure that it's coming to Disney Plus in a timely fashion. I think it's Friday.
Disney Plus.
April.
Oh, gosh. I can't believe it's already April. It's going to be April that soon. Weird.
Friday, April 3rd. So, yeah, if we record next weekend, you'll have plenty of time to watch
it.
Sure. Yeah, Friday, April 3rd is crazy because it literally came out the first week of March, and then it's on Disney Plus the first week of April. So what a weird time we live in.
But
that is what's going on.
Disney Plus.
I think honestly that Disney's going to see a surge in subscriptions, and they're going to need them. Unfortunately, the Wikipedia page that Onward is always going to say budget 200 million, box office 100 and whatever. It's going to look like a total flop. So they need money to kind of pay off this movie a little bit.
It's just a weird time, man. It's so weird.
So, all right, well, let's get into our episodes for today. We're reviewing episodes 5 and 6 of season 7 of the Clone Wars. We okay, brief update. I'll kind of give like a more in-depth review towards the end of the episode. But currently, right now, where I sit on watching backlog of Clone Wars, I finished season 5. I'm into season 6, if you can believe it, and I'm halfway through that season. So I only have like 7 episodes left to get fully caught up on Clone Wars. I should definitely be able to hit that by the next episode. So by next episode, I'll watch every single episode of Clone Wars. I'm really excited about finally being able to catch up on all that. I may honestly jump into Rebels next. Like I'm just on this Star Wars train right now and just really loving it. So I say all that to mention the last time we saw Ahsoka Tano in this timeline, in the Clone Wars timeline, was season 5. She doesn't even appear in season 6. She's not even a character. So it's been literally a season and a half since we've even seen her. So her return is a big deal for the series. And she finally returns. We haven't seen her since season 5, episode 20 or whatever it is. I think it's 20. And then now it's season 7, episode 5, and she's finally back. So, anyway, that's just a way of introduction. So like we haven't seen her character in a while, so it's good to see her back. Let's talk about overall kind of how we felt about the episodes, and we'll kind of get into the beat by beat through our recap. But what do you feel overall about these episodes? How is the story arc? There's 2 more episodes in the story arc, maybe even 5 total. It's either 4 or 5 total. I think
there are 5. There are 5. No, stop. There are 4.
No, 6, right?
I think 4.
I looked at.
Are there only 10? I thought there were only 10 total in this season.
There's 12 episodes in the season total.
So they haven't announced the last 2 then.
Yeah, I believe that Ahsoka might be present in the next. Yeah, it's 6 total. So yeah, she's present in episodes 5 through 10. And then she may or may not be in 11 and 12, who knows? But yeah, so she's in for a while now, and really is going to, over the course of the whole season, is really going to be in half the episodes at the minimum. But we're pretty early in this story arc. The story arc, even after 2 episodes, is still kind of ramping up. So kind of where, as of right now, where we said we haven't seen episodes 7, 8, 9, 10, where are you at on this story arc?
It came out of those first 4 episodes, and I felt like, okay, in those, maybe you and I both were coming off of a very big high of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And so we were very much expecting, and we both have said this, when we started this show, we very much expected that level of excitement that we got from watching an hour, live action episodic show. And so then whenever we got this show it's an animated show, and it's not necessarily for kids, but it's definitely more for kids than The Mandalorian. We were kind of taken aback the first couple episodes because we're like, oh yeah, like this is an animated show. Yeah. This is kind of a different pace than Mandalorian. It's a different time period in the Republic anyway. So like, yeah, it's going to be a different tone. So then once we got to about episode 2, episode 3 and 4 of Clone Wars season 7, I think we had kind of acclimated to how things were going to be. And so then we kind of like, yeah, Bad Batch, great addition. Characters still there.
I love the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, Anakin, a little, you can see him turning darker. Obi-Wan kind of not present, which is kind of weird, but maybe that's what they were going for, obviously. And then, you and I were excited about Ahsoka and about what was going to happen. And then, like, this weird thing happened where I start watching episode 5, and I'm like, she crash landed on Coruscant? Like, she crashed her bike? Like, now she can't leave? Like, what's happening? Like, it literally was like, and then you have these 2 sisters, one of which is naive and nice. The other's a jerk and like unscrupulous. And so then you're like, Ahsoka is like completely tone deaf character that doesn't have any concept of the real world. Like, yeah, she has this power and she has this ability, and maybe she's playing dumb in those situations, but then you get into episode 6 and you're still like, how dumb? Like, I was very disappointed. Like I was disappointed from a standpoint of like, I thought, I don't know why I thought this. I thought she was going to go off-world, have some adventure completely off-world in a whole other scenario. And instead, I get like this weird hijinks on the planet below decks, like, the USS Enterprise below decks. Let's meet some other fun characters that aren't fun at all. That I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, I was really disappointed, honestly.
I was too.
Saying all that, I was very disappointed.
Yeah, there are very few positive things for me in these first 2 episodes, unfortunately. And I've said this before on some of our previous episodes. Ahsoka Tano is in my top 5 Star Wars characters of all time. I love Ahsoka Tano. She is great. I was so hyped for these episodes, especially episode 5, having just watched season 5. And then going into season 7, episode 5, I was like, man, I cannot wait to see more of her story. This is going to be so great. And it could not have landed with more of a thud. I couldn't believe.
You just watching season 5.
Oh, man.
Flesh out for people that maybe don't remember. Ahsoka basically was accused of something she didn't do. Is that right? And
yeah,
then
so
tell me about that, because then to come out of that, where she's had to kind of defend herself in some way, and now we're just, it's weird. Go to the other side of the tracks.
I don't know why they decided it made any of the decisions that they made for these 2 episodes, to be honest. I feel like these episodes could have almost been combined into one and then get straight into the action, but they've chosen not to do that. And I'm just kind of befuddled by all that. But yeah, at the end of the season 5, by the way, and I'll talk about season 5 more at the end of this episode, but season 5 is my favorite season of the Clone Wars. It is phenomenal from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. It ends with a 4-episode story arc of this falling out of Ahsoka Tano with the Jedi Order. So for people who are just only watching season 7, they've not watched anything previously, what you need to know about Ahsoka Tano is that by the end of season 5, she basically says, I am done with the Jedi. And she is going on her own. She's officially not a part of the Jedi Order. During those episodes, I'll be very brief, she basically gets removed, like she gets her Jedi card taken away from her, basically. She's no longer a member of the Jedi Order while they investigate her as the prime suspect in a murder. And she is basically cast out at that point. She has to go on the run. Honestly, and I don't say this to malign these episodes at all, that these are some of the best episodes, I think, of the entire Clone Wars series. But it is basically the plot of The Fugitive. If you've seen Harrison Ford's The Fugitive, it is basically that. So she is on the run. If they catch her, they're going to imprison her, maybe even kill her. And it is up to her to find out who is the real culprit, the real person that they should be looking at. She's being framed, the whole thing. It is basically the exact plot of The Fugitive. But for all that, it is amazing. It's got some of the exciting action set pieces. There's one part where a transport ship has clones on it. They're firing on her, and she's flipping, running, dodging, shooting bolts back at them as the ship is trying to keep up with her running pace. And it is thrilling to watch. Like it's better than anything in The Fugitive. So it's really, really good stuff. By the end of season 5, they basically say, okay, you were framed. It was Barriss Offee, her best friend during the Clone Wars that was framing her this entire time. It was crazy, crazy stuff. I remembered Barriss from season 2 or whatever shit that she was in. And so it's just the big reveal and everything. And she goes into this major trial. The big Grand Moff Tarkin, who's not Grand Moff at this point, he's Admiral Tarkin, is the prosecutor trying her in front of a jury. Palpatine is overseeing the trial. They're saying that they're going to kill her if she's found guilty. They're about to literally slam the gavel when Anakin comes in and says, "No, we found the real culprit. It's Barriss." And then basically the Jedi Order. I mean, everyone. Mace Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin, everyone basically does this formal apology, and they're like, "We were so wrong about you. We're so sorry. We're ready to welcome you back into the Jedi Order with open arms." And she says, "Sorry, guys, I'm done. This whole ordeal was enough for me to basically just turn my back on the Jedi Order.
Right.
Love you guys, but I'm out." And so from all of that, from the end of season 5,
epic. It sounds epic.
It's huge.
It's hugely epic. Yeah.
It was awesome. Those episodes are some of the best episodes in the Clone Wars.
Right.
So going into this, I was like, oh yeah, it is on. It is on like Donkey Kong. This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see what happens next. She is going to be just kicking butt, taking names. Like she is going to be, Master Ahsoka Tano, Jedi Master, and she's going to be just, not official Jedi anymore, but basically just saving planets like left and right, And where is she at, Jack? You already said it. She is literally riding a speeder bike still on Coruscant. Like she's literally exactly where we left her at the end of season 5 on Coruscant, but in the underworld, crashes her bike, has to fix it. And, so there's some runaway demolition droids and they stop them. And that is the entirety of episode 5.
Dude. And it's like she accidentally crashes. She has no money. She is on a speeder bike that's crappy. She accidentally crashes, and then she crashes in a place that then the whole story arc is based in the dumb garage that she crashes in.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? Like, why wouldn't she be like 1-800 call Anakin? Like literal.
She's definitely not speaking to Anakin right now, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but so I'm gonna live my life with these people I just met. Like, dude, I just was like, it felt like a kid's show. Then the Bad Batch stuff, there are obviously kids show type things that are part of that, and there are some G.I. Joe episode level type things that happened with the Bad Batch that I was actually okay with because I really like that. But also there was enough kind of action-y, fun stuff, blow-up stuff. And then this felt like a kid's show and not a very good one. Like, not a very good kid's show. Like, weird to me.
It felt to me like filler episode. Like,
Monster of the Week. Yeah,
Jordan is super into DuckTales right now. She's watching not the new DuckTales even. The
original?
DuckTales. Yeah. That's all we'll let her watch. The new DuckTales I think is a little too old for her, but she was watching probably 6 or 7 episodes a week. She loves that show.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's great.
Some of those episodes are filler episodes where there's literally it's just Saturday morning, like let's just push out another episode with some plot. And it doesn't really mean anything for the overall.
He lost Scrooge lost his lucky dime again.
Yeah. But honestly, like those episodes are even more thrilling than what we just watched.
Dude.
With both of these episodes. There's
brutal.
more action. There's more action in episode 6 because they're actually going off planet and doing a spice run, and it gets kind of exciting there for a while. But oh my god, in episode 5, I was like, "What, Dave Filoni? What are you doing?"
Exactly. These you have these droids. Oh no, these are destruction droids. Oh no, what are we gonna? You're Ahsoka. Like you have a lightsaber and can cut these things in half. What are you doing? Insanity to me. I get plain stupid.
I get that she is done with being a Jedi and she's trying to start a new life with no Jedi Force powers, and just kind of laying low. I get that. That is the reason for all this to happen. But it doesn't make for exciting television. I'm sorry.
No, and I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to tell you right now, Phil. Listen. I'm sure she'll get back in the Jedi's good grace at some point. But we know from the if she has this poor of coping skills, she does not deserve to be a Jedi. Are you kidding me? I'm stuck in a garage on Coruscant. What?
I'm sorry. Here's who
I'm
I feel
blown away by it.
The group of people that I feel the worst for, the people this is their first introduction to Ahsoka Tano, because Ahsoka Tano is a awesome, powerful, independent, independent thinker.
No, not
like
anymore. Not anymore. That was the old Ahsoka.
Yeah, I assume she's that way in the Rebels show. I've not seen any episodes of Star Wars Rebels, but she makes an appearance in those episodes. I hear she's very commanding, very leader oriented. Basically almost kind of starts the Rebel Alliance in a lot of ways, or at least the thinking of it. She is such an awesome character, and what you are seeing right now is not the Ahsoka that we're used to seeing on screen. So even honestly, season 1, Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, where she is like Padawan to the max, like doesn't know how to do anything, is making wrong decisions and needs obviously major oversight. Even that Ahsoka Tano is more interesting than the first couple episodes of the story arc. I've been very disappointed so far. I think you're right. We're about to see Ahsoka Tano come back in full force in the future episodes, but right now those episodes haven't released, and we're stuck with what we have. So the trailers that we've seen even actually show a future fight scene with Darth Maul, like Ahsoka versus Maul, which is going to be awesome. I can't wait till we get to that, but that is not where we're at right now, and it has been an absolute thud for me overall. So I honestly don't even know that we need to go beat by beat. I'll just kind of mention a few things that I remember from the first couple episodes.
Yeah, good idea.
Kind of just chat about it, because honestly, there isn't really much. Even in the Bad Batch episodes, the first 4 episodes of season 7, there's some really cool like world building stuff that happens. Like we're learning things about clones and about different special forces units that we've never heard of before, and like how they interact with people, and more about the droids and their communication and different planets that they're operating from, and this fleet of ships, and like there's just so much meat in there to be had. And this is literally the story of 3 girls, and that's all we get for 2 episodes straight. Yeah, it's crazy how much of a left turn this season has made. But so speaking of 2 of those girls, basically what happens is she crashes her bike onto Trace's platform on level 1313. The only thing that's interesting about that is that there was I don't know if you heard about this, Jack, there was a video game. I was supposed to come to PlayStation, I want to say 4 and Xbox One. I don't think it was for the previous generation, called Star Wars 1313. It was going to be following, maybe even you were going to be playing as Boba Fett on level 1313 in the underworld of Coruscant, like under the surface. And it was going to be like this seedy underworld kind of video game, kind of look a little like Uncharted, those games, cover-based shooter type game, and you get to play as Boba Fett. That game looked awesome. We don't really see much of the 1313, unfortunately, in this, and there's really no seedy underbelly to this at all, except for just that one interaction that they have with the buyer who's wanting them to fix up these droids. But
the one thing about Coruscant that I've always thought is cool, and I was it wasn't until the prequel movies that you figured this out or heard about this. For like, it's a world that is basically a whole city. Like it's a city. Like there's only city. Like the entire planet is just metal and construction and city. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of like that. Like I thought that's cool. And this thing is cool, except when you interact with the 2. I don't know, girls in charge of whatever.
I watched a couple of reviews of people that were much higher on these episodes than we are, and they were talking about how like, oh, it's so cool to see the the other side of Coruscant.
It's neat. This is neat. I don't know if it's cool, but it's neat.
Yeah, like the shadowy side of
I'm
Coruscant,
not seeing that.
Where people don't necessarily love the Jedi, and everything isn't all roses and rainbows. And it's like, okay, yes, but we also saw that at the end of season 5, and season 5 did it a lot better, and we got to see a lot more of it at the end of season 5. So we're not seeing anything new. If you've already seen season 5, you've already seen all this, and it honestly was done a lot better. So
weird.
It is weird. I think people are forgetting how powerful those episodes were. But
when it's handy that you just saw them recently. It's really handy that you saw them recently. So
Trace. She says, okay, you're more than welcome to come in. I'll fix up your bike for money, or if you just want to fix it up on your own, that's fine. She has some trouble. Trace ends up fixing her bike for her, and they kind of become friends over this thing. There is some, you can tell Trace doesn't love the Jedi, and in fact she has a one of the few, like, I think really good lines in the episode was her talking about how she actually believes that the Jedi are responsible for starting the war, and that's why she doesn't like the Jedi. Ahsoka actually defends them and says, no, they're the ones trying to end it. And so you can tell that she thinks highly of the Jedi, even though she's kind of fallen out of favor with them. She still obviously loves them and wants to see them succeed and believes that they're doing good in the world. But not everyone thinks that. And Rafa, her sister, and Trace are definitely on the side of the Jedi are not our friends. And it is cool to see that part of Star Wars world building that we haven't really seen. In every movie, it's like, okay, the Jedi are the best. But in these episodes, it's like, no, the Jedi aren't really well loved. But again, we saw that in season 5 of Clone Wars, so it's a little bit trash. Pintu is a character who shows up very briefly. He's barely even in there, but he shows up with his goons. He's basically a loan shark. He's asking for the money that Rafa owes him. Rafa's not there, so Trace says, I don't have your money, but I have a stick, and I'm going to fight you. And and she is not doing very well. Ahsoka has to jump into the fight, but she can't use her lightsaber or force push or anything like that. She basically just kind of uses her acrobatics fighting, and it takes them down.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's a cute line here where she says, Trace says, "Where'd you learn to fight like that?" She said, "Oh, my big brother," and she's obviously referring to Anakin.
And she also went to the academy at Skywalker Academy.
The Skywalker Academy, yep. They find Rafa, Trace's sister, who is basically running a laundromat. But it's like a front. She has like a mechanic shop in the back, and it's, I guess, an illegal shop. It's kind of insinuated, but she basically running like a front business for what is her real moneymaker, which is making droids or fixing droids in the back. She decides to take a bunch of money from a Twi'lek that comes by and says, "Hey, I have these binary load lifters," which that was another cool reference. The binary load lifters are mentioned in A New Hope, I think it is, where C-3PO is having a panic moment like he does in every movie, and he's saying they're gonna sell us they're gonna sell us for scrap for binary load lifters or something like that. That's actually an actual thing, but we actually get to see him in this episode, which is kind of cool. They end up finishing one, and it attacks them. Ahsoka restrains it with a restraining bolt, but another one that Trace failed to put a restraining bolt on actually runs free into the street and goes on a collision course. Yeah,
and now we have a monster of the week to a chase.
Yeah. Right before it goes rogue, Ahsoka says something like, these binary load lifters are actually demolition droids that have just been repurposed, and so they're bad, like from the beginning, like they're like all the battle droids are bad, and so it goes on this rampage, just destroying everything in sight, signs, cars, everything. They jump into a forklift and chase it. It's a lot of this episode is chase, fight.
Yep.
She is hoping to pin it down and hit the off switch on its face, which is conveniently like on the hardest place to hit.
Oh yeah.
It has to be on the face. They try to subdue it, but that doesn't work. It ends up climbing up the side of a building. Trace is kind of hanging on to it, and she reaches, finally hits that off button just in time before it hurts a kid, and it falls off the building. Ahsoka has to catch them with the forklift, but the lift starts to go off the edge, and this is the one time that we see her use anything force related. She reaches out using the force and basically pulls this massive, 5 ton.
To the onlooker, it looks like the winch is pulling it up, but we know that her force pull push, her force abilities. She's using the force. There's a little kid that kind of sees it too.
Yeah.
But we're not sure. The kid told her parents later. We'll find out next episode.
Probably not. We'll probably never know. So she basically saves Trace's life here, and obviously is very much in her good graces at this point. Ahsoka says you need to dismantle these things; they're dangerous. But she says, "No, I'm going to go ahead and just sell them." And so she sells them to back to the Twi'lek, charges double because of all the pain and suffering they had to go through, and Ahsoka says she's going to finish the speeder bike and move on and just leave them. And that is all of episode 5, if you can believe that. Did I skip over anything?
No, you actually added more than there really was in that episode. Like, and that episode is very disappointing.
Yeah, I think even if this is your first season of the Clone Wars, you know that something is up with these episodes because you watched the first 4 episodes. You saw the Bad Batch. You saw the awesome fight scenes. Them taking 4 of them taking down 70 droids. Like, I mean, it was awesome to watch these almost Jedi-like actors in this battlefield, and the different races, and that one the Poltex on that planet with their awesome language. I mean, you're coming off of all of that world building and action, and then you're going to this, and you're like, what is going on? Like, how did we get here? There's not a single clone that even appears in these episodes. It's crazy.
They're not, and it's not okay. So seeing Ahsoka is great, but the 2 other characters, the sisters, are not compelling in any way. Like,
no, I agree.
Like you're left with, one day I'm gonna finish the Silver Angel, my ship, and I'm gonna get off this planet and I'm gonna explore the stars. But like, we've already heard that a billion times in Star Wars, and it's been said in a better way. Like it's been done better. And then next episode is a little better, but there are also some aspects that I was just like, still not very good, like still not great. And I guess my expectations were really high, and that's my own fault. I should expect nothing, and then when I get anything, I should be excited. But whatever.
I don't know if I agree with that, though. I mean, we've seen Ahsoka Tano be an incredible character before. I think to have at least the expectations that we're going to see the continuation of her saga, it was a reasonable expectation, and we just didn't get that. I wasn't looking for Mandalorian level drama, but I was expecting at least Clone Wars level Ahsoka Tano, story building.
Right.
And
maybe they go ahead. Sorry.
For the most part, these episodes aren't even about Ahsoka. Like, she is background. Rafa and Trace are taking the lead. It's not really towards the end of episode 6 that she even comes up with a plan that they end up employing. Like, she is really kind of along for the ride on these episodes. And I 100% agree with you that Rafa and Trace are not interesting characters. They're just not.
Not at all. No.
Trace is a mechanic that is wanting to build her own ship and see the stars someday. And Rafa is this, kind of aspiring ne'er-do-well that wants to make a lot of cash. And that is the beginning and the end of their characters. And so maybe we'll see more from them in the future, but I don't think so. I think we've seen everything we're going to see.
I hate to say this, but I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
please, no more.
We're gonna get at least 1, if not 2 more episodes with Rafa and Trace, and I just don't think it's gonna go very well. They need to ditch those characters and get back to the war and the Jedi and the clones as quickly as possible, because it is not working.
We're light years away from any Sarlacc, so we've got to figure out something else that maybe they could take a trip to see.
Yeah. I'll briefly recap episode 6. If I hit something that you want to talk about, just stop me. But there's not a whole lot more. I don't have a whole lot more written down for episode 6. But it starts out right where episode 5 left off. They're working on the bike some more. Trace is almost done with her starship. She calls it the Silver Angel, which is actually a phrase that's mentioned in episode 1 of the movies and a couple other. That's kind of like a known phrase in Star Wars. She says, don't go, your bike is finished, but don't go just yet. Help me test out the Silver Angel. I want to take it for a run. just right as they're saying this, Rafa comes in. She's booked a job, but the pilot has backed out, or something happened to him. I can't remember what she said there. And she needs Tracy and Ahsoka's help to fill in and basically pull off this job. Ahsoka says, what's the job? And basically she says, Rafa says, a medicine run. Like she's trying to make it look really good. And so she says, yeah, we're bringing medicine to people who really need it. And Ahsoka's like, okay, it sounds like something I'd be into. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be helpful.
And so, but Rafa immediately is very suspect of Ahsoka and says she actually confronts her one-on-one at one point when Trace's not around and says, what are you after? Are you after her ship? And Ahsoka says, look, I just want to help. And then I'll be on my way. They all three of them take off in the Silver Angel. It's kind of a rough go at first. I thought that was a little bit of an endearing moment when she left the air brakes on when they were going to hyperspace. Kind of a little silly, but also kind of like, that's kind of a rookie mistake type of thing. So I thought that was kind of cool. Actually, even more funny than that is there is a brief scene with Anakin. He's on one of their Republic starships. Yeah, and the reason why Anakin's even in the episode at all is that they are driving in a military lane, which I didn't even know that was a thing in Star Wars. But like, there are lanes that are meant only for space military ships, and they get into one of those lanes because she doesn't know where she's going. She's never been off planet, and so they basically the ship hails them and says, hey, get out of our lane. You're in a military lane. If you don't stop or get out, we're going to arrest you. And they, Yularen, I think is his name, Admiral Yularen, turns to Anakin and says, hey, we need to apprehend the ship. And there's this moment where he does this like Jedi sense thing, and he can sense that Ahsoka is on the ship, which is very interesting to me. Probably the most interesting part of the episode, to be honest. He knows that she's on the ship, but doesn't pursue her. Like, he just lets her go, which a lot of time has passed since she's been gone. She's visibly very old, a lot older, maybe a year older, since the last time that we saw Ahsoka. And so he's been living life without her for a while now anyways. And the fact that he doesn't go after her and say, hey, reconsider, I want you back in the Jedi Order, I think says a lot about how he's kind of moved on from their relationship. So that was kind of interesting to watch. They go to hyperspace. They end up at Kessel, which is cool. Obviously, you've been around Star Wars, and especially the Solo Star Wars story movie and A New Hope and stuff like that. You know a lot about the Kessel Run. And so it's interesting to see Kessel on that planet again. They said, it's Kessel, it's legendary. And Ahsoka utters this funny line. She says, yeah, legendary for its corruption. And they land there. It's really beautiful on Kessel, which we haven't really seen this side of it. We've seen like the slavery, like really nasty side where they're basically mining the crap out of this planet. But there's another side of Kessel too, which is really gorgeous and very lush. And that's the side that they land on. There's a king and a major domo, which is like a number one character to the king, and they throw him a banquet. They're so excited for them to come, and they said, yeah, you're going to be to be clear, you're going to be transporting spice, but that spice could be used for medicine, which we all know it's not going to be used for that.
But it could absolutely be used for medicine to help all the little kids of the galaxy. It's what Robitussin is made out of.
Yeah. Running spice, as we know and as Ahsoka makes known during the episode, is very dangerous. They get hit by pirates all the time. Ahsoka says, no, we should not do this. Kill the job right now. But Rafa just sees dollar signs, and frankly, Tracy's a chance to use her ship and impress her sister. So she's in. Right. So Ahsoka basically at this point kind of goes on, if nothing else, just to protect them, because she feels enough for them that she wants to see them, succeed and not die. And so we see they go to pick up the spice. And the other interesting part, kind of world building in this movie, is we see that it's run by slaves. And at first they kind of think they're droids down there, but it's like literally 1,000 humans, Twi'leks, every race down there, just basically being enslaved to move spice around.
Right.
They get the spice. loaded up on the ship, head into hyperspace, and they go to a planet. I didn't write down the name of the planet. Is one I never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
They Rafa admits that they're working with the Pykes on the way while they're going through hyperspace. They're basically like space gangsters. And
Obadiah was the name of it.
Okay, Obadiah.
Obadiah.
Okay, that's weird. It sounds like a book of the Bible.
Obadiah. Oh, good old Obadiah. Go ahead.
So, the Pykes we've seen the Pykes before. They've been actually in season 6 and a little bit of season 5 as well, which I'll talk about at the end of this podcast episode. But they are basically mobsters. They kind of part of this galactic crime syndicate, not unlike the Hutts. I mean, they're kind of rival to the Hutts, I guess.
Right.
And so Ahsoka obviously is not down for any of this, but goes along with it. But there's this crucial moment in the episode where Ahsoka and Rafa are arguing about, like, should we do this? Should we not? Ahsoka wants to take the spice. She's like, forget them, forget the Pykes. Let's give the spice to people who need it for medicine. And they're arguing back and forth. And basically, Ahsoka convinces Trace during this argument that the Pykes are just going to take the whole ship. Like, they're going to land, and the whole ship is going to be theirs, along with the spice with it. And Trace panics and actually dumps the entire load of spice out of the cargo bay doors as it's going through hyperspace. So now they're on their way to Obadiah with her ship and no spice. So it just got a whole lot worse. It's kind of a dumb move, but she's also kind of a rookie at this whole thing. So
right.
So now they owe the Pykes money. Basically, they land on the Pykes planet. Obadiah, Ahsoka does her big plan is, she obviously doesn't tell the girls this because they don't have no idea that she's a Jedi, but she says, hey, it'll be fine. We'll just, sweet talk them. She uses a Jedi mind trick. So again, well, and only one time in either episode do we see her do anything Jedi oriented.
Right.
And
well, she still doesn't want to use her powers for evil. But in a pinch like this, she feels like she has to do something or, they're going to be in trouble. So.
Right. Yeah, so she basically says, she waves her hands ever so nonchalantly and says, you want to pay us our credits and send us on our way. And the leader does just that. He says, okay, give me your credits and go on your way. And they don't even inspect the crates. But as they're getting onto the ship, one of his subordinates, who she did not Jedi mind trick, says, hey, shouldn't we inspect these crates? And so he uses his blaster and opens one of them. And as they walk back to the ship, they realize what's going on, and they try to get away, but they're caught in a tractor beam and they're trapped and pulled back to the planet. And that is the end of episode 6.
That's it. And so we are going to get more of Trace and Rafa, the sister duo that we've been begging to see more of. So I for one, am excited about episode 7. So Dangerous Debt is the name of episode 7.
Dangerous Debt, okay. Surely.
Followed by episode 8 that's called Together Again, which probably means, my guess is that Together Again means one of two things. They're either separated and put into slavery in this next episode, or they're together and they're having to fight their way through whatever. And then maybe Together Again in episode 8 means that Anakin shows up and saves the day.
Yeah, Anakin's going to have to show up at some point.
Maybe not.
He already knows that she's out there because he's sensed her. But woof. I'm really hoping that season the episode 7. The episode 7 introduces some more tension.
Anything,
because we had almost no tension in episode 5. I mean, there's almost nothing on the line except for level 1313, I guess, that they had to save the innocents on that. And then in this one, the only thing that's at stake is really her ship, and then maybe themselves, but even that's not very clear. They might just let them go and take their ship. I don't know. The stakes are really, really low right now, and I
guess now at least they're at least looking for safety. At least now they're going to be looking to escape, and maybe there'll be some tension that way just to get the heck off this planet. Because the Pykes, you don't mess with the Pykes, friend.
No.
So anyway. There it is.
So, yeah, the description for next week is taken prisoner by the Pykes, Ahsoka and the Martez sisters attempt to escape. That's all we know about next episode.
Gotcha.
And then together again is Ahsoka bargains for the sisters' freedom and makes a startling discovery.
Oh.
So,
Oh,
and then
no.
I think that's the end of the Martez quadrilogy of episodes. I think they're only in those 4 because the 9th episode is Anakin and Obi-Wan must decide whether to help Ahsoka pursue Darth Maul, or rescue Palpatine. She has to make a decision between going after Maul or rescuing Palpatine. So I think, we've got 2 more episodes with 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about the Martez sisters again, and then it should be done after that. And then we'll get to see Ahsoka in all of her Jedi glory. But we've got 2 more episodes to bear through. I really hope that the last couple of episodes, here's what I hope. In episode 7, she needs to reveal herself as a Jedi. I think that's the only way that the action and the tension ramps up.
That way, that gives her free reign to be able to do what she needs to do to get them out of their issues.
Yeah. But don't you feel bad for Ashley Eckstein right now? The voice actor for...
Yeah. Well, it's just weird. It's like she has to know. She has to be like you said, season 5 stuff was so compelling. And now she's basically doing, I don't even know what this is. I'm just not even... It's weird. It's Clone Wars, but it's not really anything to do with it. It was, done during the time of the Clone Wars. Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever. Hey, whatever. It's all good.
I did like seeing spice smuggling up close, and the Kessel Running up close. I thought that was kind of cool. We've heard about that, and obviously Solo, a Star Wars story, we see more of it, but it was cool to see it, especially from a couple rookies like this.
They were they're definitely not criminals.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with it when they got it. So,
but that's, man, what a waste of a couple episodes. I really think that they probably could have pushed these 2 together and then done some more interesting things, but they only have 12 episodes total. So
that's the part too, because then 5, like I said, 5 and 6 kind of duds in my opinion. And there may be people listening to this podcast who are like, that's ridiculous. These are the best episodes ever. Hey, it's your opinion. Great. But man, for me, I'm like, they wasted 2 episodes of only 12. And we're not led to believe that 7 and 8 are going to be just the greatest ever. Maybe they have to get pulled out of this jam. And if you're really going to make Ahsoka a strong character, she's got to be able to get herself out of jams, because if you have to have Anakin come flying in to save the day, that makes her look really weak and pathetic. And so, she's got to be able to work herself out of this jam. But I argue that she got in these situations in the first place is completely ridiculous. So, whatever. Again, it's an animated show. I'm assuming now for kids, because I don't know anyone else that would be to see this action and see this storytelling and be like, this is intense storytelling.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very much on purpose and for obvious reasons. We're not allowing our 3-year-old watch any episode of the Clone Wars. But strangely enough, episodes 5 and 6, I can't think of reason not to. There's not really anything in there that's super violent. So.
I feel like Doc McStuffins would have a place in this universe. So weird, really, really weird. I don't know. I guess I just don't get it, but whatever.
And I'm not saying violence makes everything better, but it does make things more exciting. And I think you need some action in these. That's what people are coming.
It's the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
it's the Star Wars universe where Han Solo is a hero and he shot first. So there you go.
We literally just came off of Anakin running a lightsaber through the gut of Admiral Trench.
Yep.
And then this is what we got afterwards. So it's just wow, okay.
Really odd.
That's what we're doing now, I guess. So I'll be very excited to see it kind of move on from here, and we're gonna, as we've been doing, we're not going to talk about Clone Wars next week. We're going to wait for a couple more episodes. So this is a 4 episode story arc. I think everything's in 4s this season. So 4 + 4 + 4. So we'll wrap up this story arc next week, or 2 weeks from now. Sorry, next week we'll pop. It sounds like we're going to talk about Onward, and then 2 weeks from now we'll finally wrap up the Martez sisters. Man, this is going to be the lame duck out of those 3 story arcs.
Could you imagine? Like, could you imagine, Phil? We were supposed to go to Comic-Con and literally do a panel, and we would have been talking about episode 5 on that panel. And I think people, if they'd seen it, they would have been like, "Why would I go listen to these guys talk about the panel on this thing?" And 2, we would have had to talk about it and be like, "Yikes!" Like,
wow, I didn't even think about that.
Up to this is great, but ... Like, literally, like. I'm almost of the thought process, like, because we're gonna have to go and turn around and do that panel in August if we're able to go to Comic-Con then when they've rescheduled it.
Yeah,
like I said, there's a lot of ifs there from here to there.
You know what's supposed to be out in August?
What's that?
Falcon and Winter Soldier is supposed to be out by then.
Well, see, we probably change it to that, and then it makes more sense. And now in retrospect, I'm almost like, boy, had that panel worked out, like. We could have probably just did Mandalorian and be like, let's just do a Mandalorian panel and talk about Mandalorian. Like, in hindsight, you know what I'm saying? That would be better than this.
That's a great point. So inside baseball, just for a second, we were basically going to devote an entire 50-minute panel, a 50-minute episode of this show to just season 7, episode 5. That and
the recap of the season up to that point and episode 5.
Yeah,
we could have talked about, but still, like. Oh my gosh!
Oh, man, we dodged a bullet there. Thank you, coronavirus.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
One thing. That's one thing COVID-19 has brought.
Yikes! Well, we have to make sure if we are going to do it again in August, and if Planet Comic-Con actually does happen, then which, guys, I don't know. Hey, the world in August, who knows what will be happening? Like literally, like. I don't know.
They won't postpone again. I think if they can't make that August date, they'll just
cancel it.
See you next year. Yeah.
But if you and I'm saying you and I are actually able to do it, we've got school in that whole realm. That's a really busy time for both of us. If we are able to go that weekend and do it, we've got to change that panel now. Like, we've got to change it to something else. So anyway.
Well, I'm sure, honestly, like a lot of their panels are either canceling or rescheduling or changing their topics. So they're going to have to adapt.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be talking about this. So. Man.
Well, what else have you been watching on Disney Plus? I'll talk Clone Wars here in a second, but we've already been doing that. So,
Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I started watching it again.
Yeah,
the animated stuff. I've kind of made it a point, Phil. The last 8-9 Saturdays of my life to watch cartoons Saturday morning. Okay. You and I grew up in a time when you would watch cartoons on Saturday morning. And I like waking up on a Saturday morning and putting on Disney Plus and watching a bunch of cartoons. 2 or 3 hours of it, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. And Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, such a great show. So many great characters on that. And so I started watching that again, and it's awesome. So I highly recommend.
That's one of the few, like, let's say there are 20 Marvel animated shows on the service. There's only like maybe 2 or 3 of those that I've actually seen, and this is one of them. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is really good. A lot
of Marvel's animated stuff. Okay, Spider-Man, the animated series is good. Spider-Man Unlimited is good. X-Men, the animated series is good, and then you get into like. I'm missing one. I'm forgetting about one of the other good ones. This one, Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And then you start to get in some really not so good. Anything before the year 2000 other than Spider-Man and X-Men was bad. Like, was not good. Fantastic Four, bad. Iron Man, bad. So, bad.
Yeah. I really like Ultimate Spider-Man as well. I don't know if
it's really good.
Or not, but it's really good. I loved that show when it was originally aired.
Yeah, really, really good.
Any movie?
What are you watching? What are you watching? Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, distance. On there, I started watching Kazam with the intention, because I've got about 4 right now. I've got about 4 movies that I've watched recently. Then I'm going to do some short version stuff for the Horrible Movie Podcast.
Oh,
just because we're sitting around, and I'm like, I'll just do a 20-minute episode of this here and there and talk about But Kazam is one of those movies, and it is so bad, Phil. But the problem was with it, I started watching it, and I almost need to tag Phil in and do one of these with it, because it's like I have to have someone to bounce the hilarity. That movie, oh my gosh, it's so much like early 90s trope.
Yeah.
And like not in a good way. Like the child actor is one of the more annoying child actors you've ever seen. And it is bad. Like it's Shaq, like as a genie.
I'm sure Shaq's not great acting wise.
It'll be worth it. Anyway, just a thought, putting it out there. Maybe sometime this week we just sit down and talk, even for 20, 25 minutes. Like we don't have to do the old school hour and 10 minutes or whatever we would do on HMP, but like it'll be worth our time to do it because it is silly, stupid. So anyway, there you go. It's on Disney Plus, everybody. Kazam.
Yeah, not everything on Disney Plus is a winner. So
no, that's fun. Though.
So yeah, I mean, I've mostly talked about season 5 already, just with the Ahsoka Tano stuff. The only thing I haven't mentioned yet, my favorite episodes of Clone Wars, period, as good as the Ahsoka Tano story arc is at the end, are the Darth Maul episodes in the middle of season 5.
Yes.
Here's what you get. Here's what you get, Jack. You get Darth Maul. You get Savage Opress, which is like his Padawan.
Yes.
They're both of them are killer. I mean, like they could kill you just looking at you.
Yep. You get his brother too, right?
I mean, that's what he calls Savage. So Savage is he calls his brother.
I got you. Sorry.
You see him kind of rise to like a kingpin status, where he's like basically like running like all these other factions of like underworld crime syndicates. Like he's like a kingpin over all these guys.
Yeah, which isn't that in Solo the movie? At the end.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And then his immediate fall after all that, which is great. You see the Darksaber. The Darksaber is a huge part of the action sequences. Almost all of it takes place on Mandalore and the Death Watch, Mandalorian fighters. There's some government overthrow. You see spoilers, I guess, for a season that came out a long time ago. You see the death of Satine, which is Obi-Wan's love interest.
Oh yeah,
she gets killed right in front of Obi-Wan by Darth Maul himself using the Darksaber.
Yeah.
You see an incredible, like one of the best. I would put this honestly up there as one of the top 5 lightsaber scenes. Period. Like across all the live action movies, there's an amazing fight scene. Is Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious, taking on Darth Maul and Savage Opress at the same time. He's dual wielding lightsabers. The two of them are attacking him from both sides. He's flipping around. He's diving out of a building, landing on the ground below. He's attacking one, then attacking the other, using force push and every power, lightning, everything you would expect to see from the Sith. He's an incredibly powerful jet. Like to see Darth Sidious is like not like the weakling, like kind of like it looks like someone's grandfather on his deathbed, Emperor. Like this is like him in his prime, and it is awesome to watch. He kills Savage Opress in the middle of this duel and ends up almost killing Darth Maul, but says, I've got use for you at the end of the episode. These episodes and just like the politics that are going on and how he's double timing Pre Vizsla, who's like the leader of the Death Watch, and his whole gang of Mandalorian fighters, but then Pre Vizsla's trying to double time him and the how they're trying to like basically like work the other one over, and they're kind of successful in certain ways. These episodes are phenomenal, and I'm going to go back and watch them again after I watch the entire series. But they are so good, and it is to the exact opposite of what we've just seen with the Clone Wars. This is the Clone Wars at its best. And if you're only going to watch one season of the Clone Wars, we haven't seen all of season 7, so it's a little premature to say this, but I honestly would watch season 5. And even if it's your first season of watching the Clone Wars, season 5 is absolutely required watching for any Star Wars fan. It is really good.
And I honestly like season 2 a lot of Clone Wars. I watched that. And I, like you were saying, season 5 is really good because I've seen all of it as well. So like, there's some really good Clone Wars stuff. That's why I was so pumped for this season of it. And honestly, the first 4 episodes were great. And then, man, talk about taking a sidetrack. Episode 5 and 6. Yikes! Like,
dude, it's so hard for me because I'm watching these in tandem. Like, I'm literally like watching season 5 and then watching season 7 and then going back and watching season 5 and then watching season 7. And having watched the end of season 5 and the beginning of season 6 a little bit, and then going back and watching these new episodes, oh my. It's just like night and day. It almost feels like it's a completely different showrunner, but it's still Dave Filoni. I don't know. Dave Filoni is obviously amazing. Like, he did the Mandalorian stuff, he did all the Clone Wars stuff, and he's still doing Clone Wars. He's amazing. He's one of the best gifts to Star Wars in general. But man, the last couple episodes have been a complete dud, and I can see him at his best in season 5. So it was the final season of the Cartoon Network run of Clone Wars, and they absolutely went out with a bang. Season 5 is phenomenal.
Right.
So, and then I got into the first few episodes of season 6. It's very, very good. Not as good as season 5, in my opinion, but the first 3 or 4 episodes, we get to see how Order 66 is going to become a thing. There's one and only one clone, Fives, who, no, I'm sorry, it's I can't remember his name. Another character, another clone that basically goes rogue and ends up killing a Jedi in the first episode of season 6, and it's because his Order 66 chip in his head goes off before it's ready.
Gotcha.
And so Fives is investigating the Jedi and investigating what is this thing, and by the end of the 4-episode story, I could think it is, the Jedi are convinced that it's not anything nefarious. It's just an inhibitor chip that went bad. And so they basically write it off as like, oh, nothing to see here. And it's really cool to see all that lead into the events of Star Wars Episode 3, the movie. So
it's crazy, man. Crazy, pal.
So that's what I've been watching, and I'm totally in on Clone Wars, just not the last couple episodes, unfortunately. But the old stuff is just really, really good, and I'm looking forward to finishing it and going on to even more stuff like Rebels. So yeah.
Well, very good. I'm looking forward to now finding out what happens to our little friend Ahsoka and her newfound buddies, Chachi and Ralph Mouth, just to see what happens to them. But man, frustrating. Like, I don't know. I was hoping for more.
It will get better. I obviously neither one of us have seen anything that hasn't been released, but just the descriptions alone, it's going to take a few more episodes to get there. But the Ahsoka versus Darth Maul fight is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see that. So
right.
We'll get there. We're just kind of in the doldrums right now.
It's a doldrum. Put it.
Well. Just to wrap this up, let us know what you want to hear about on the podcast, or send us your own review or something that you've watched on Disney Plus. We'd love to include you in the show. Just write us at disneyplusreviews, all spelled out, PLUS, at hotmail.com. You can send us an audio clip or an email. We'll read it on the show. We'd love to hear from you. We've got a pretty good listenership going right now, and we know people are listening to the show. So definitely let us know that you're listening and what you're watching and what you'd like to see more of on the show. Next week, we're going to talk about Onward. I've already seen it, but I may go back and watch a few scenes here and there, just kind of freshen up on it, and then we'll give a review of that movie next week. So if you haven't seen it, because basically it went to theaters and then the world went to hell after that, then your chance is coming soon. You will get to watch it as of Friday as we record this podcast, and then we will record probably next Sunday afternoon and post by Sunday night or Monday morning. And so that'll give you a few days to watch it and then come back and listen to our review and see if you agree or disagree. So
very good. All right, Bill. Good stuff, buddy.
Cool.
All
well,
right.
We will see you then for some Onward talk. See you next week.
Onward.